He was born in extreme poverty, failed again and again, lost elections, battled depression, and was mocked by the world. Yet this one man held a broken nation together during its darkest hour. From a small wooden cabin to changing the meaning of freedom forever. This is not just history. This is the unbelievable true story of Abraham Lincoln. Imagine a cold winter morning, a silent forest, and a small wooden cabin standing alone in the wilderness of Kentucky. No luxury, no comfort, no signs of greatness. Yet inside this fragile cabin, on February 12, 1809, a child was born who would one day change the destiny of an entire nation, a child named Abraham Lincoln. There were no celebrations, no doctors, no grand dreams spoken aloud that day, because his family was painfully poor, struggling every single day just to survive. Abraham Lincoln's parents, Thomas and Nancy Lincoln, lived a life shaped by hardship, manual labor, and uncertainty. From the moment Abraham could walk, life taught him lessons the hard way. He chopped wood, worked on farms, and helped his family earn enough food to live another day. Education was a distant dream in a world where survival came first, and formal schools were rare, far away, and often temporary. In total, Abraham Lincoln received less than 1 year of classroom education, a fact that shocks the world even today. But what Lincoln lacked in schooling, he made up for with something far more powerful, an unstoppable curiosity and a burning desire to understand the world. Young Abraham would walk miles just to borrow a book. He read by candlelight, by firelight, sometimes even lying flat on the floor, completely lost in the pages. Books became his teachers, his friends, and his escape from poverty. While other children slept, Lincoln questioned ideas of justice, fairness, and human dignity. Even as a boy, he hated cruelty and stood firmly against bullying and injustice. People around him noticed something unusual. Abraham Lincoln listened more than he spoke, thought deeply before acting, and treated everyone, rich or poor, with the same respect. His physical appearance was awkward. He was tall, thin, and often mocked by others, but his words carried weight, honesty, and quiet strength. Tragedy struck early in his life when his mother died while he was still a child, leaving a deep emotional scar that shaped his sensitivity and empathy forever. That pain did not harden him, it softened his heart. Instead of becoming bitter, Lincoln became thoughtful, compassionate, and deeply aware of human suffering. Poverty followed him everywhere. There were days when shoes were a luxury and hunger was familiar, yet Lincoln never allowed his circumstances to define his worth. He learned the value of hard work, integrity, and responsibility at an age when most children were still carefree. His stepmother later encouraged his love for learning, recognizing that Abraham's mind was different, brighter, and restless for knowledge. Slowly, the boy from the log cabin began developing a powerful inner world, one filled with ideas about equality, honesty, and unity. Though no one could have predicted it then, the seeds of leadership were already growing quietly inside him. Abraham Lincoln's early life teaches a powerful truth. Greatness does not begin with privilege. It begins with perseverance. He did not inherit opportunity, he created it. Every page he read, every hardship he endured, and every lonely night he spent dreaming of something bigger shaped the man he would become. The world saw only a poor farm boy, but destiny was preparing a leader. Long before the speeches, the presidency, and the history books, Abraham Lincoln was simply a determined child refusing to surrender to darkness, choosing knowledge over ignorance, character over comfort, and hope over despair. Failure after failure, but never quitting. If success were measured by how many times a person falls, Abraham Lincoln would already have been a legend long before he became president, because his journey forward was built on a painful path of repeated failure, disappointment, and rejection. As Lincoln stepped into adulthood, life did not suddenly become easier. In fact, it became harsher. He left his childhood home carrying nothing but dreams, determination, and a belief that honesty still mattered in a hard world. His first attempt at business ended in disaster. Lincoln partnered in a small general store, hoping to earn stability, but the business collapsed completely, leaving him buried in debt that followed him for years. While others would run from responsibility, Lincoln did the opposite. He promised to repay every cent, a promise he kept slowly and painfully, earning him respect even in failure. Around this time, his personal life was no kinder. He faced heartbreak, loneliness, and long periods of deep sadness that today would be recognized as severe depression. There were moments when the darkness felt overwhelming, yet Lincoln refused to surrender to despair. Instead of allowing failure to destroy him, he allowed it to discipline him. He began studying law on his own, borrowing books, reading endlessly, and teaching himself late into the night just as he had done in childhood. Without elite education or powerful connections, Lincoln passed the bar and became a lawyer, traveling from town to town, defending ordinary people with fairness and compassion. His reputation grew not because he was flashy or aggressive, but because he was honest, patient, and deeply principled. People trusted him, and trust became his greatest asset. Despite this growing respect, Lincoln's political journey was filled with defeat. He ran for the state legislature and lost. He ran again and won, only to later lose races for higher office. Each election loss was public, humiliating, and discouraging. Newspapers mocked him. Critics questioned his abilities. Friends advised him to quit politics entirely. Yet Lincoln believed something most people fail to understand, that timing matters as much as talent. Every loss taught him how the system worked, how people thought, and how power truly moved. Rather than becoming bitter toward those who defeated him, Lincoln studied them. He refined his arguments, strengthened his speeches, and sharpened his understanding of national issues, especially the growing conflict over slavery. During this period, Lincoln developed his famous debating skills, not through arrogance, but through logic, clarity, and moral reasoning. He spoke in a way common people could understand, turning complex ideas into simple truths. Failure continued to follow him like a shadow, but Lincoln no longer feared it. Each setback became a stepping stone. Even his deepest emotional struggles did not silence him. Friends worried for his safety during his lowest moments. Yet Lincoln held on to a quiet faith that his life still had purpose. He believed that pain was not punishment. It was preparation. Over time, the same man who once failed in business, lost elections, and battled inner demons became known across Illinois as Honest Abe, a man whose word meant something in a world full of deception. Slowly, almost unnoticed, public perception began to shift. The failures that once defined him now shaped him into a stronger, wiser leader. Lincoln's story during these years sends a powerful message to anyone watching today. Success is not a straight line. It is a series of lessons disguised as losses. The world celebrates victories, but Lincoln was built in defeat. Every closed door forced him to knock harder. Every rejection trained him to stand firmer. And when the moment finally arrived for him to step onto the national stage, he was not unprepared. He was forged by failure, strengthened by struggle, and guided by an unshakable belief that quitting was the only true defeat. When Abraham Lincoln entered national politics, the United States was a country divided not just by borders but by beliefs, fear, and deep moral conflict. Slavery had split the nation into two opposing sides. Northern states increasingly rejected it, while southern states defended it as essential to their economy and identity. Political debates turned bitter. Trust between states collapsed, and the idea of unity felt fragile. America stood at the edge of a historic disaster. In 1860, against expectations, Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th President of the United States. His victory shocked the nation. He was not wealthy, not polished, and not supported by powerful elites. Critics mocked his appearance and doubted his ability to lead. Yet Lincoln understood that leadership is not about popularity. It is about responsibility. Almost immediately after his election, several southern states announced they were leaving the Union. They rejected Lincoln's authority and chose separation over compromise. The nation began to break apart. Families were divided, friendships shattered, and fear spread everywhere. Lincoln faced an impossible situation: lead a country that no longer wanted to be led as one. He responded not with rage, but with calm determination. He spoke of unity, shared history, and reason, hoping words could prevent bloodshed. But the storm could not be stopped. In 1861, the Civil War began, launching the darkest chapter in American history. As president, Lincoln carried the unbearable weight of command. Every decision meant life or death. He faced criticism from all sides. Some said he was too weak, Others said he was too harsh. Even members of his own cabinet doubted him. Military generals challenged his authority, newspapers attacked him daily, and public confidence often collapsed after battlefield losses. Lincoln had no military background, yet he refused to be a passive leader. He studied war strategy intensely, read reports late into the night, questioned generals, and learned from each painful mistake. Early battles brought devastating losses. Thousands of young men died, cities filled with wounded soldiers, and grief spread through every home. Lincoln felt this pain deeply. He visited hospitals, spoke with soldiers, and listened to grieving families. The war aged him quickly. Sorrow marked his face, but it never broke his resolve. He realized that preserving the Union without addressing slavery would only delay future conflict. Yet he moved carefully, knowing that sudden action could push more states into rebellion. Lincoln balanced moral courage with political reality, waiting for the moment when action could reshape the nation. That moment came in 1863 with the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states. This decision transformed the war into a fight not just for unity, but for human freedom. The backlash was fierce. Some accused Lincoln of destroying the nation, others of not going far enough. But Lincoln stood firm, believing that history would judge leaders by their moral choices, not their comfort. Later that year, after the horrific Battle of Gettysburg, Lincoln delivered a short speech that became immortal. In simple, powerful words, he honored the dead and reminded the nation that democracy, equality, and freedom were worth sacrifice. The Gettysburg Address gave meaning to loss and renewed purpose to a broken people. The war, however, dragged on. Victories were followed by setbacks. As the nation bled, Lincoln faced re-election under unimaginable pressure. Many believed he would lose. Even Lincoln doubted himself. Yet he refused to abandon his principles for political survival. He believed doing what was right mattered more than doing what was popular. Slowly, the tide of war turned in favor of the Union. Hope returned, though at a terrible cost. Throughout it all, Lincoln spoke not of revenge, but of healing. He envisioned a future where the nation could reunite without hatred. His leadership during this period revealed his true strength. Not force, but patience. Not anger, but moral clarity. From a man once underestimated, Lincoln became the steady center of a collapsing nation. When America broke apart, he held it together through resolve, sacrifice, and belief in a better future. The boy born in a log cabin now carried the fate of a nation, and though the burden was immense, Abraham Lincoln stood firm, guiding a divided country toward the possibility of unity. As the Civil War dragged on, the true cost of conflict became impossible to ignore, and no one felt this burden more deeply than Abraham Lincoln. Every battle report brought lists of the dead. Every letter carried grief, and every decision weighed heavily on his conscience. More than 600,000 lives would eventually be lost, making it the bloodiest war in American history. Lincoln did not see these numbers as statistics. He saw them as sons, fathers, and brothers. He often walked alone late at night, exhausted and burdened by sorrow, carrying the pain of an entire nation on his shoulders. The war tested him not only as a leader, but as a human being. His face grew older, his posture heavier, yet his sense of responsibility never faded. Lincoln faced constant pressure from all directions. Radical voices demanded harsher action against the South, while others urged compromise at any cost. Generals failed him repeatedly, wasting lives through poor decisions, forcing Lincoln to replace them again and again. Each failure deepened public frustration, and many questioned whether the war was worth continuing. Lincoln himself wrestled with doubt, yet he never allowed uncertainty to paralyze him. He believed that abandoning the fight would mean abandoning the future of democracy itself. Despite the brutality surrounding him, Lincoln held tightly to hope. He believed that suffering must lead to meaning, and that the nation could emerge stronger if it remained committed to its ideals. In the midst of war, he made time to visit wounded soldiers, shaking hands, listening to their stories, and offering quiet words of comfort. These moments reminded him why the struggle mattered. As casualties mounted, Lincoln understood that the war could not end with hatred. Victory without reconciliation would only plant seeds for future conflict. His vision extended beyond the battlefield toward healing and unity. One of Lincoln's greatest strengths during this period was his ability to balance firmness with compassion. He refused to surrender the Union, yet he never demonized the common people of the South. He distinguished between rebellion and humanity, believing that peace would require understanding as well as justice. As the war slowly began to turn in favor of the Union, Lincoln's leadership became more focused on what would come after the fighting stopped. He spoke often of rebuilding the nation, not punishing it. His words reflected a deep understanding of human nature. Wounds heal slowly, and forgiveness is stronger than revenge. Even as victory approached, Lincoln avoided celebration. He knew the cost had been too high. The passage of the 13th Amendment, which permanently abolished slavery, marked a historic triumph of justice, fulfilling a moral goal Lincoln had long carried. Yet even this victory was met with humility. Lincoln viewed freedom not as a gift from leaders, but as a rightful claim of humanity. In his speeches, he emphasized unity, urging Americans to see each other not as enemies, but as members of one shared nation. His second inaugural address reflected this spirit perfectly, calling for malice toward none and charity for all. These words revealed Lincoln's deepest belief, that the nation could only heal through empathy and shared responsibility. As the war reached its final days, the country stood exhausted, wounded, and uncertain. Lincoln, too, was drained, yet his vision remained clear. He believed that the sacrifices made must lead to a more just and equal society. The power of his leadership during this time did not come from authority alone, but from moral clarity. He never lost sight of the people behind the policies, the lives behind the decisions. Section 4 of Lincoln's journey reveals a leader forged in pain but guided by hope. It shows a man who faced unimaginable suffering without surrendering his humanity. While war surrounded him with darkness, Lincoln chose to believe in light. He proved that true strength lies not in force, but in perseverance, compassion, and faith in a better future. Through loss, doubt, and despair, Abraham Lincoln remained steady, holding on to the belief that even the deepest wounds could one day heal, and that from the ashes of war, a stronger nation could rise. As the Civil War finally came to an end in the spring of 1865, the United States stood at a historic turning point. The Union had survived, slavery was nearing its permanent abolition, and the long nightmare of war was drawing to a close. For Abraham Lincoln, this moment should have been one of relief. Yet his heart remained heavy. He understood that victory did not erase loss. Too many lives had been sacrificed, too many families broken, and too many wounds left unhealed. While others celebrated, Lincoln spoke carefully, urging the nation to move forward with humility and mercy. He believed the true challenge had just begun, rebuilding a divided country without hatred. Lincoln envisioned a future where former enemies could become fellow citizens again, bound not by revenge, but by shared responsibility. His words reflected wisdom shaped by suffering, reminding Americans that peace required forgiveness as much as justice. Yet fate would not allow him to see this vision fulfilled. On the evening of April 14, 1865, only days after the war's end, Abraham Lincoln attended a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. It was meant to be a brief escape, a rare moment of rest after years of unbearable pressure. Instead, it became the setting of national tragedy. That night, Lincoln was shot by an assassin, and by morning, the nation awoke to devastating news. The leader who had guided America through its darkest storm was gone. Shock spread rapidly across the country. Cities fell silent, churches filled with mourners, and people wept openly in the streets. Even those who had once opposed Lincoln now mourned his loss, realizing the magnitude of what had been taken. His death felt deeply personal, as if the nation itself had lost a guiding soul. Lincoln's assassination transformed him instantly from president to legend. Yet his legacy was not built by his death alone. It was earned through a lifetime of perseverance, integrity, and moral courage. From a childhood of poverty to the highest office in the land, Lincoln's journey embodied the power of resilience. He proved that greatness does not depend on privilege, education, or wealth, but on character and conviction. His leadership reshaped the meaning of democracy, reinforcing the idea that government exists to serve the people, not divide them. Lincoln's commitment to equality changed the course of history, ensuring that freedom would no longer be limited by race or status. The abolition of slavery stood as a moral victory that echoed far beyond America's borders, inspiring movements for justice around the world. Even in death, Lincoln continued to teach. His life became a reminder that leadership demands sacrifice, that progress often comes at great cost, and that standing for what is right may require enduring loneliness and criticism. Monuments were built, speeches preserved, and generations taught his words. Yet Lincoln's true legacy lives not in stone, but in ideals. He showed that empathy can exist alongside strength, that humility can guide power, and that hope can survive even in times of despair. For millions, Abraham Lincoln remains a symbol of unity in division, light in darkness, and perseverance against impossible odds. His story speaks directly to anyone who has faced failure, injustice, or doubt. It reminds us that our beginnings do not define our endings, and that one individual, armed with honesty and determination, can change the direction of history. Though his life ended in tragedy, Abraham Lincoln's impact remains eternal. He did not merely save a nation, he reshaped its soul. Long after the echoes of gunfire faded and the scars of war began to heal, Lincoln's vision continued to guide America forward. His legacy stands as a powerful truth for all generations, that freedom is worth protecting, unity is worth fighting for, and true leadership is measured not by how power is gained, but by how humanity is preserved. Before you go, take a moment to reflect. Abraham Lincoln rose from nothing, faced endless failures, and carried the weight of an entire nation. Yet he never gave up on hope, unity, and doing what is right. His story reminds us that true greatness comes from courage, perseverance, and standing firm, even when the world is against you. If this story inspired you, give this video a like, share it with someone who needs motivation, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories that awaken courage, inspire minds, and bring history to life. Remember, your beginnings don't define your destiny. Keep believing, keep striving, and we'll see you in the next story.